The Breakdown with your not so humble talking hairdo, Ben. Nice to see everybody today. It's covered up right now, but I got me a new Bears jersey that's made an appearance on the show before. But anyhow, I'd like to thank my producer extraordinaire, Sam Wolf, a.k.a. Sammy to me. And we are here live from the Neon Parrot Live Studios at the Majestic Coffee Shop here in historic downtown Abilene, Texas, where it rained today, which doesn't happen very often here in the big city of Abilene. But, man, it did today, and it didn't even slow down any of the belly dump truck traffic on the way here. So it took me a second to get here, but we're here now. And we have lots of good topics today. It's a little bit lighter of a show today, but we will start with some entertainment. And I don't have a lot of new artificial intelligence reporting today. That usually is a week-by-week thing, but which for me it's kind of nice to not just have, you know, the next 800 predicted million jobs that are going to be cut in all these private companies. So that's kind of nice to not read about today. However, I saw a movie over the weekend, and I want to not butcher the pronunciation because it appears to be pretty cut and dry to me. It is spelled A-N-E-M-O-N-E, anemone, who knows? But that word was never spoken in the movie, but it was fantastic. Daniel Day-Lewis, Sean Bean. I couldn't ask for two more solid thespians to grace the screen in a movie. And it was, I'm going to go ahead and say that one's going to be a sneaky close. I don't think it's going to be a Best Picture. I don't know what it would be, but it's definitely one of those award season type films. And it was, I think Sammy's going to put it, I don't want to say it again because I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but I'm going to call it anemone. That's what I'm going to call it. And anything that's Northern Ireland related as it comes to film or art, it's just always really been interesting to me. And all the Irish Republican Army stuff and the troubles that took place in really forever, like this 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then they made a truce and Northern Ireland gained its independence. But even as of, like, I think a few months ago, there's been some incidences in Belfast and some of the areas of troubles like scenes, which usually involve explosives and the like. But anyways, it's just, I don't know why it's always fascinated me. The music, I love. So you take a guy like Daniel Day-Lewis and you know, I won't spoil the film for anybody, but it's a story of two brothers, and it is just, I thought it was great. There's not a lot of dialogue in it, folks, so it's super artsy or what have you. So know that going into it. Man, I should do just a Northern favorite Irish movies segment. Maybe I'll do that at some point. In other news, the CMA Awards, the Country Music Awards, were last night. And whether you like country, well, I guess you kind of got to appreciate country music or you might not like it. But it is like the Grammys, but for country music, and it was pretty damn good last night. I was just gonna watch some of it, and then I ended up watching pretty much the whole thing. And you had Chris Stapleton, Lainey Wilson, all these different incredibly talented artists. Whether or not you like that genre of music, I don't see how anybody couldn't appreciate a guy like Chris Stapleton. But he performed, and then, as country music does, it's very interesting because most of the traditional country music lovers, like myself, like old school or Texas or outlaw country, if you will, the Johnny Cash types, the Willie Nelson types, and then the 90s country like Vince Gill. He was given a Lifetime Award last night, the Willie Nelson Lifetime Award. And he said something really funny. He said, y'all had to get two women to sing my song because none of the other guys can go as high as I can. And I thought that was pretty funny. But what's interesting about country music right now is it's kind of, in some ways, going back to its roots as far as just the sound and the writing style, which I think most people in the world of country music listeners are quite appreciative of. But at the same time, there's a lot of crossover of other music genres, such as if you've ever been to any watering hole, you've heard of Big X the Plug. He's a Texas rapper, and he did a duet with Luke Combs, I believe it was. And this dude is, he's like a gangster rapper, and he's at the CMAs. and then you have Shabuzi was there, and he's got that, he's got a couple of fun bar songs. But, there's some crossover with some more pop culture elements in country music, whilst at the same time kind of going back to its roots. And when you do that, I think that is a recipe for success in an industry such as music. That's my take on the CMAs. It was just so fun. I was kind of bummed, though, at the end when Vince Gill got his award. I thought he was going to sing, but that's not how they do it. They have somebody else tribute, but man, Vince Gill, you want to talk, and a guy that can just shred the guitar, Vince Gill. He also plays with the Eagles, turns out. So that's my little CMA story. We also had a crazy weekend in sports, which I will get to momentarily. I want to make sure that I don't have any other kind of things going on here in my Wall Street Journal. Luckily for us folks, it was kind of a quiet last week and weekend in the old oh, here we go. Maybe not. This one is Wall Street supercharges AI spending. Blue Owl and others have raised trillions to invest, ignoring flashing warning signs. Okay, there we go. Wall Street weekend. Or no, wait, that's this week. That's Tuesday. 2 days ago. Not long ago, Blue Owl Capital was an upstart investment firm that lent money to mid-sized U.S. companies such as Sara Lee Frozen Bakery. We all know about that if you're a fat kid at heart. These days, the firm is financing massive data centers costing tens of billions of dollars for the likes of Meta and Oracle, a sign of just how quickly Wall Street has become the enabler of America's artificial intelligence boom. Fund managers such as Blue Owl amass trillions of dollars in investing firepower and have been hunting for the big deals where they can put that money to work. They found slim pickings for years until a perfect match appeared in AI, which has provided a bigger target than anything in history due to the vast sums tech companies need to ramp up computing power. So, folks, I want to just repeat that. This has provided a bigger target than anything in history due to the vast sums of money that, and this is, this is not all public money. This is a lot of just investment firms and just super, super rich folks. We are talking about numbers that are so large, even in low cases, said Blue Owl co-founder Mark Lipschultz. Does it even matter if you keep counting after you get to $1 trillion of capital expenditure in the next couple of years? Yeah, it's like it doesn't. You don't even have to count after that, because does it even make sense? Last week's sell-off in tech-related stocks and bonds marked some of the most serious warning signs that the frenzy could be overdone. But any worries on Wall Street about possible investment bubble have largely been trumped by the fear of being left behind. So that's what's very interesting to me about all this and how I've been covering this, which last week I wanted to kind of pump the brakes on my cynicism of all this, at least on air, because I don't know, it may be tiresome for people to listen to me wave the red flag of danger every single week on this program. So I decided that I will let, the journalists of our country and the world do that for me if there is reason to be suspicious. And my issue with all of this, since I've started covering it on this program, has been the from what I perceive and can tell, has been little to zero suspicion amongst the general mass population. And then you have an entire market, an entire economy basically making all of its moves based on this thing that hasn't produced much yet. Other than, and here I go again, all it is promised is that lower to mid-income jobs will be cut in mass like we've never seen. So that's what it's promising us, is automation of services, like the workers of Amazon, the stalkers at Sam's, Walmart, Target, the personal shoppers. What they're promising us is that in just a few short years, there will be automation for these services. Now those people are no longer needed. So, how far does it go after that? I don't know. I don't know if this ends up being a sci-fi movie or not, guys. I think it's because I love movies and I love science fiction. It's kind of in some ways it's fun for me to contemplate, because I do think if it all goes bad, I think that, collectively we all kind of deserve whatever outcome it is, because most people don't care. And then the rest are just totally on board. And I like to say here at the Breakdown, as much as this may bore the hell out of some of you, I try to come to you all in the middle. And honestly, I'm just trying to take all this in, because this is going to change everything as we know it. And that could come in a couple of different forms, and I'm not pretending to know which one it is. I am just looking at what I see as it's either going to be the Jetsons, and we're all going to be rolling around in flying cars, those of us who still, have jobs and whatnot, or it's going to be just like, there's no more call center people because they got robots to do that, which is already happening. And the AI chat bots, anytime you have a question for a company or anything like that. So all that's upon us. But now
I get so infuriated when I call a support line and it's an AI chat person, though.
Yeah, because they haven't quite got there yet.
Oh, they make me so angry.
And you're right, because you can't. But what
my issue is because they program them I think, to specific prompts.
Yes.
And most of my issues are not any of those prompts.
Right.
And so I end up needing a live person anyways, but you have to jump through whatever steps the robot's making you to before you can speak to somebody.
Right. And I think part of that is they're going to widen their ability to speak to people. But what I also think is they don't want you calling anybody anymore. Because I had to get a driver's license appointment for my son a month ago to take his driving test, and I couldn't get a person on the phone, and I had to figure out how to speak correctly to the AI thing in order for it to let me make an appointment. It was out of this world, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you're not that damn smart, robot. You know, if I'm having to figure out your language, you know, but I do think that some of that is by design.
I do really try to practice containing my frustration and not cursing the robot, though, because I have a little fear of it remembering. So when it does start to take over the world here in about 10 years, I don't want to be on top of its list of, oh, yeah, that's the a-hole that always talks shit to us.
That's right. Right. That's exactly right. Because then they will
be
not. Be
nice to your Roombas. More of the story.
Yeah. Then they will not send you your allotted 6-pack of beer and steak for the week that you get. Okay. So, but the spending is what's so fascinating to me is we're creating. You know, I've had this posed to me that we're creating another economy within our economy, but I think that's kind of a naive way to look at that, because you can only create another economy if it's profitable and it is successful. Otherwise, if it's not, it's just going to your real actual economy, goods, services, energy. It's just going to affect that. So this notion that you're creating another economy within an economy that's artificial intelligence, to me, that's naive, and that doesn't make sense. But I guess we will find out, and I will report. And this is also, last week, again, here not to beat a dead horse, but last week I also mentioned the Netflix documentary I was watching called Turning Point, the history of the bomb and the Cold War, and how the Cold War really actually never ended. It's still going on. And but the arms race, the nuclear arms race, which there's been nothing like that since this. And you know, we not only have to be first, but we have to be the biggest and the best.
And we have to maintain dominance.
Maintain dominance. And I suppose we'll find out what.
But that seems to have been our global strategy since, the end of the Second World War.
That's right.
To maintain a position of dominance.
That's right. And we managed to do that pretty well by proxy wars and all kinds of other things.
Banana republics, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, because that's the only way that we can fight anybody is through proxy wars, which is interesting with this Cold War video or documentary, is like we can't exchange ordnance with our enemies or we destroy the entire world. Like the world is gone if we have ordnances firing back at our enemies. So the only way we can fight is by proxy wars and these little, Vietnams and Laos and Cambodias and all these other South American countries, Middle East, Afghanistan, Africa, yada, yada, yada. I know you viewers understand history and everything like that, but what reminded me of kind of the pickle that the world got itself in when we started making thermonuclear bombs and these kinds of hydrogen bombs, and is we can't use them. And the fact that there wasn't any foresight to that by not just us but by everybody, it's just it's mind-boggling that we would create this arsenal on all sides, because just about everybody's got them. That's anybody.
The whole tactic of MAD, mutually assured destruction,
Yes.
is just, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think it made sense maybe in the very, very beginning in a way, but yeah, now you can't use them. So, and as I've said before, and then we will move to sports, is the problem that I see that leave it to Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt, and Mission Impossible 49, Dead Reckoning. There's movies about this stuff and what it could be, and the thing that's scary is the big worry for the last 20 years has been the technology as it pertains to our nuclear arsenal. That the technology on those little red buttons and all this is from back in the 70s and the 60s, that it's never really changed a whole lot. Now, we don't know. We can't confirm or deny. We don't know that to be factual, but it's been pretty much well documented by certain heads of state and these kinds of things that, you know, it's...
But some of that's really good, though.
It is good.
Know, because,
it is good.
The chips is where you get things that are hacked and whatnot, whereas old analog systems, a lot harder to hack.
That's right. So, that being said, that's not where we're going. Where we're going is artificial intelligence will be braided into our nuclear arsenal, and that's, my friends,
everything. That's
where I think you got a big problem, and the fact that, like this article says, it's just go, 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 go.
I think the biggest use for AI initially will probably be with coordinating drone swarms.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're doing that.
We've moved into drone warfare, right?
Yes.
We've seen that in Ukraine, Russia, very obviously that is the way right now. And so, yeah. And then we see China, leading the way with their little drone fireworks show thing that they do.
That's
bigger
right.
and bigger every year.
That's what I was going to mention also.
And we're starting to do them in the U.S., but they're all based off the technology that Chinese are developing.
That's right. And what's interesting about that is I was at a football game last year at Texas Tech University at a night game, and they had a drone show, and it was amazing. But there's like a freaking thousands of drones making all these different shapes and cowboys and double T's and all this stuff. And it's like, here again, at the risk of being a freaking doomsdayer fanatic person over here, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying whenever... The technology is all there, and that's the race. But like, I just think it's a bad idea to get our arsenal online with this artificial intelligence. Because anybody that thinks that that's a good idea, I just don't. I don't think that we're living in the same universe.
I don't think it's a battlefield that we can afford to be not present in, though.
Look, Abilene, Texas.
Hey.
Okay, Wall Street Journal. That's the Stargate Lancium Center. I understand that this is on the camera. You may not be able to see this that well. But as I'm reading this article, that is massive. Wow. This is the Wall Street adds to AI spending. So, folks, this is why I'm so interested in all of this, because this is literally right over there. It says here, Blue Owl helped finance the data center in Abilene, Texas, a collaboration between OpenAI and Oracle. Blue Owl's Doug Ostrover and Mark Lipschultz, that's these fellas. Good Lord. Abilene, Texas, we made the Wall Street Journal again. We make it a lot with this, but... Okay, here we go. Let me just read a little bit. I was kind of hoping I could get a little more Abilene, Texas there. They only talk about us because we're like or the freaking patch of dirt that they're doing all this on. Oh boy. Lucrative week. Morgan Stanley began pitching top tech companies years ago. Okay, I don't want to bore you guys. That's just interesting. It's got a picture of where we live. And it rained today, which it rarely does. And boy, let me tell you something. When it rains around here, it doesn't play around. But, okay. I'm about to get Big Frank on the line. Because Big Frank pretty much is our sports segment these days. And we thank him for that. But before I call him, y'all notice I'm wearing my Texas Aggies t-shirt today. So last weekend was almost bad for the Aggies. They got down by almost 30 points by halftime. Like, it was like I didn't even recognize what team I was watching. But essentially, they were playing South Carolina, who's unranked, have lost 4 games in a row. And if you saw it, then you know what I'm talking about. But they just look like they didn't even show up to play. And so they go into the locker room, and Mike Elko, the head coach, is like, he's like, I didn't know what to tell him at all, so I just didn't really say anything. And then it's like these guys knew what had happened, that they didn't show up. They thought they were just going to roll South Carolina. Well, that's not what happened. So they wake up, they come out in halftime, and they have a historic comeback of 28 or 30 points, something like that. They end up just scoring tons of touchdowns, making interceptions, sacking the quarterback. They showed up to play. They weathered the storm. They are now, I think they're number 2 in the country.
I think it's number 3 right now.
Is it number 3?
On the link
Well, they
you
should.
sent me.
And to me, that's BS because
Yeah, it says number 3.
in Indiana,
10-0 though.
yeah, it's 10-0, and Indiana is number 2.
Whereas Gamecocks are 3-7 now. So yeah, that would have been an upset on A&M had they not rallied.
Yeah, it would have been a real bad
It would have been
loss.
a season upsetter for them.
Yeah, it really would have been, and which is kind of unfair because, you know, any bad team in the SEC in the South on any given Saturday can beat any team in the country, okay? And I used to not like that adage because I'm originally a Big 12 Texas Tech guy, but you know, the SEC, it's a different they're a different type of dude over there, okay? So and you can't argue that about the South. And so, you know, listening to one of my favorite radio programs after the weekend's games, and this guy was like, you know, A&M's overrated, and you know what happens when the UT comes in and rolls them next week and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know if he's watching the same team that I am. And I even went to one of these games, and that was pretty amazing. But anyways, go Aggies. Like I said, my daughter is a freshman at Texas A&M, so she's witnessing history as it unfolds on her very first semester in college. And I'm an Aggie now. You know, I'm an Aggie fan now, and I never thought I would say that, being a Texas Tech Red Raider. However, go Aggies. This weekend it's Samford. That they better win double digit on that one. And then you got Texas. I think you got Texas and Florida, which Florida's a mess. But here again, any given Saturday, Florida can beat anybody. So you can't lose to Texas, though. That is for damn sure.
The day after Thanksgiving, A&M and Texas.
That's right. Day after Thanksgiving, we've got some
Black Friday.
Yeah, we got some family plans to be in front of the TV as a unit.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to watch that game.
Yeah, it's gonna be something else. Okay, let's see. Come here, Big Frank. Let's get you on here. Big Frank the Bears had a huge win over the weekend. And they've got a big one against the Steelers coming up. See if we can get him. Could this be the first time that Big Frank doesn't answer? If he doesn't answer, we'll get. I bet he'll call back. But as I wait for a moment, I bet you he's on the other line or some such thing. Oh, sorry, Big Frank. Didn't want to get your voicemail on there. Okay, we'll try him back in a little bit, but don't you worry. I can handle this. I can handle this on my own if I need to, if I have to. So, speaking of Bears, my buddy D. Grant hooked me up with this. It is a Danielle Manning jersey. Who went to Abilene Christian University, home of the Big Purple Wildcats. They've had a hell of a season. I haven't covered them like I did last year. I don't know why. I think it's because I've been so into current events. This program's kind of taken a turn in that direction. But in the NFL news, we have the Steelers, who Aaron Rodgers now plays for, and he fractured his non-throwing hand wrist last weekend playing. Can't remember who they played. Doesn't matter. He is injured, and the Bears have the Steelers on, I think it might be Monday night, or maybe it's Sunday. Let's see here. I got it right here. Okay, no. This is the noon slate in Chicago. I know Big Frank's going to be there. I am going to send Sammy... I'm going to send you a video of Big Frank's, I believe, yeah, this is his son. Get it in here. I think they won by a field goal. But anyways, they're in their tailgating vehicle, their rig. And it's just that these Chicago guys are so for real about their football. But Aaron Rodgers has a history of years and years and years of beating the Bears at home, away, because he was with the Packers. So, I think he's going to play this weekend with the fractured non-throwing hand, which is kind of wild. But we'll see. But, and the Steelers, my son loves the Steelers for some reason.
All right, I got the video. You want me to play with the audio?
Yeah, okay. So, Big Frank, this is for you. Jenna, this is for you. We're going to put the audio on this one.
I can't take this. Laying down in the truck.
47-yarder, 48-yarder.
This guy, you better fucking make this.
And
I'm not looking.
Come on, Santos. Don't look, Chad. Don't look. Don't look.
yes!
All right. Okay, so that's how they do it in Chicago, man. They that kick had to go through, and it went through. That's great. We just love the content that we get from our wild Bears Nation. Okay, so we got the Steelers. Let's just look. I wanted to see. Okay, the Bears are a 2.5-point favorite at home. I like it because the Steelers their defense isn't. They're kind of in the same positions that the Bears looked like in the beginning of the year. A little bit with the defense kind of not being historically what it is. And then the Steelers' offense is – Rodgers has been playing very well, but you've just got, a joke that I always make. I give regionally, I like to make fun of certain areas, and I make fun of myself too. However, the the Steelers are in Amish country, and they run their team like the Amish would, which is outdated, okay? The Steelers – they're stuck in a different world when it comes to offense. Now, having Rodgers has been a little bit better, but he can't really throw bombs, like he used to. But anyways, I hope the Bears win that game. I will be rooting for the Bears. I'll get into just a little bit of Raiders talk. The Raiders, it is over. It is they're still my team. I love them, but this year is this what am I trying to say? I'm just so distraught about the whole thing. This experiment has been a complete disaster. Pete Carroll looks like Joe Biden walking around there not knowing what freaking year it is, much less that there's a game to play out there. So, I mean, Pete Carroll looks totally out of his depth, which is sad because he's a Hall of Fame coach probably. And then Geno Smith, I mean, and the Raiders have had to pay him. The contract is like $60 million or something for a few years, and I'm just like, you got to get out from under that deal. They should. I don't know. I don't know how all that works with contracts all the time, but all I know is from the minute they signed Geno Smith, I knew that this was going to be a bad season. I said it. You can. I got receipts, as the kids say. I knew this was going to be a bad deal. Max Crosby, thank God, we pay him so much and nobody wants to take over that contract. Or we just don't want to get rid of him, or he doesn't want to leave and he wants to be a Raider, which is surprising. But yeah, this is, and there was kind of a lot of hype going into it because we got Tom Brady in the minor ownership role. He's showing up in the box, and it's just been a complete letdown. I wish that we would just not play Max Crosby and some of these guys as much in order to keep them healthy for next year. But I think it's clear that the Pete Carroll, Geno Smith experiment has failed in Las Vegas, and I just wish Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders' goofy ass, would let somebody else make some of these decisions. And, he does have a general manager, unlike the Cowboys. And then I watched the Cowboys, so that's who we play. The Raiders and the Cowboys met on Monday night, and it was a slaughter. And all the Cowboys people are like, oh, did you see how good? I'm like, you played the Raiders. We suck bad. Like, you should have had a great game. You should have scored more points. But we'll see. I think the Cowboys they're just good enough. They're the same. They are who they always are. They're just good enough to stay interested throughout the season. They're going to have some good wins. They're going to have some tough losses. But they're going to be who they are in the playoffs every time. But anyways, that's what I think about that. Tonight, we have the Buffalo Bills, who have been, without Josh Allen as the quarterback of the Bills, and without Josh Allen, the Bills would just suck. And he is probably one of the best just football players I've ever seen. Quarterbacks, he's way up there. So Josh Allen has to score like at least 3 touchdowns a game for them to win. So their defense is not helping him. Their run game is not helping him. He has to put the damn team on his shoulders to win. They are a 5-point favorite against the Houston Texans tonight. And I can't remember if C.J. Stroud's hurt. I should know that. I should have prepped for that. But I kind of like the plus 5 points here, to be honest. But this is also a game that the Bills will go in and they might cover that because they're the Bills, and they will beat the crap out of teams that they should, and then have a hard time with teams that are very good. The Vikings-Packers is going to be interesting to watch. J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings has proven to be not so good. Okay, New England Patriots at the Bengals. Giants at the Lions, not interested. Jets, Raven, not interested. There's kind of a lot of crap teams this year. I think the Steelers and the Bears and the Packers game might be some of the more interesting ones. Seahawks, Titans, don't care. Cleveland Browns at the Vegas Raiders. Jeez, God. That's at the 3:05 slate. I think we'll lose to the Browns. I think that's the Raiders are a 4-point favorite against the Browns, and I think they're playing Shedeur Sanders this weekend. He had a bad weekend last weekend. He tends to run backwards more than staying in the pocket. He runs back and then tries to throw the ball. I don't know. Watch Shedeur Sanders. Mark my words. He has like his breakout night is against my Las Vegas Raiders, and I will cry once again on Sunday afternoon. Falcons Saints. God, I feel bad for whoever would have to watch that game. I'm sorry. Kind of like the Raiders Browns. The Falcons Saints, Raiders Browns, those are both like do something else with your day games. Okay, here we go. Eagles Cowboys. That's a game I want to see. That's going to be the afternoon. I'll watch that instead of the Raiders Browns game. How about that? Okay, then Sunday night, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Rams. Okay, the Buccaneers have just every time I pick them to cover something or win, they just completely let me down, and everybody in Tampa Bay as well. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is. The Rams are 7-point favorites against the Bucs. I don't know if that's going to cover or not, but the Buccaneers will lose that game, I assure you. Oh, and then the Monday night football game next week is the Carolina Panthers at the Niners. Yikes. Panthers are real bad. Niners have Brock Purdy back. So we have the Aggies. Okay, I went through my NFL. I'll just college hoops. I'm all in. It's been so much fun to watch. I'm not going to cover a lot of that because I don't want to bore you to tears. But I will look at a couple of important games in the college football scene. And that would be Miami at Virginia Tech. Okay. Don't care. Missouri, Oklahoma. Now, that would be nice if Missouri could make noise against Oklahoma for the Aggies. Ohio State, Rutgers. Here's the thing. Ohio State's number one. They're playing Rutgers this weekend. They're going to win by 40 freaking points, okay? Okay. Let me just look here. Baylor, Arizona. We don't like Baylor because they're snooty and they're stuck up. So, Arizona by 7. What else we got here? Come on, show me the good stuff. There's like 1,000 games every Saturday. And the season's almost over. It's really sad. Okay, Arkansas versus Texas at Texas. Texas is a 9-point favorite. I really hope they do poorly on that game. Duke versus North Carolina. Okay, usually that's a basketball game that we like to watch, but the implosion of Bill Belichick and his 24-year-old girlfriend has been pretty entertaining for me to watch. I'm not going to lie to you. And he has just turned into a midlife crisis machine. I'd love to know what kind of car that guy's driving right now. I bet you it's got a lot of zeros at the end of that price tag. Oh, man, because I'm guessing his girlfriend's got a lot of zeros at the end of that price tag, if you know what I mean. Duke, North Carolina. Duke is a 6.5-point favorite. We'll take it. Vanderbilt. That's a fun one to watch. Kentucky, Vanderbilt. I'll watch that one at 2:30. How about that? I might be in the woods, though. Might be hunting in the woods. Okay. Syracuse, Notre Dame. Here we go again. Notre Dame is a 36.5-point favorite. And everybody's arguing Ohio State, Notre Dame, blah, 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 Indiana. Get out of here. Oregon, USC is at Oregon. Oregon's a 10-point favorite. Oregon's going to beat the crap out of USC. It's a bad matchup. And Oregon's ranked number 7. And they've played Jimmy Lipper freaking Polytech 10 times this year. Get out of here. Utah, Kansas State, whatever. Michigan, Maryland. No. Okay, we're almost down to the... And then I'm going to close up shop with you guys. Nebraska at Penn State. Penn State's a mess. Nebraska sucks. That's an interesting game. It's like the battle of the kind of okay. New Mexico at Air Force. New Mexico all day. New Mexico has been good to me this year, folks. They have been good to me. Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech. Oh, man. Pittsburgh played Notre Dame last weekend, I think. I think it was last weekend. What a letdown. College game day was there. McAfee's there, throws his shirt off, does all his McAfee stuff. And, like, Pittsburgh got their ass kicked by Notre Dame. Just, it was embarrassing. Illinois, Wisconsin. We'll take Illinois for Big Frank. Tennessee, Florida. BYU at Cincinnati. This is a big game for the Big 12, okay? BYU is ranked 11. Cincinnati is unranked, but, you know, you never know what could happen there. And Tech beat BYU, and then BYU won last weekend, and yada, yada. San Jose State versus San Diego State. Do not care. That is the Ben Doesn't Care Bowl. Okay. I think your big games are probably, you got Tennessee, Florida. Tennessee's a 4-point favorite. Tennessee has been like, it's so funny. I love Clay Travis. He's the outkick guy. He's involved with Fox Sports. And he's a Tennessee grad. And a Vanderbilt law school grad. So Vanderbilt's probably making him happier, but seems like every weekend he's like, here's your blood bank guarantee. Take this pick to the bank. Put your kid's college fund on it. And he picks Tennessee every time, and it's almost always a letdown. So I don't know, man. Tennessee should beat Florida. They should, because Florida's a mess right now, right? But I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised if Florida pulls out that game. Okay, we talked. Little recap, guys. Thanks for sticking with me through that. And Big Frank got tied up. He just texted me, and that is no problem there. Hopefully, I did it justice with my Bears breakdown. And I feel like Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson of the Bears are clicking. And I feel like there's a culture shift in that building. Anyways, so we talked a little bit of award season films, which Anemone, that's what we're going to call it. I think Sammy put that up for us in the beginning of the show, but Daniel Day-Lewis, always just fantastic. These are gems. If you care about film, I know a lot of people don't, which that's fine. But for me and those of many of us that love, whether it's the theater or movies, art in that form, Daniel Day-Lewis he's a treasure, you know, and quite frankly, Sean Bean also a treasure. I can't call them American treasures because they're not from America, but that's okay. They're from our friendly neighbors across the Atlantic Ocean. But they have brought both of those guys. I mean, Sean Bean, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. That's not even to mention Patriot Games with Harrison Ford. That's another, Northern Ireland type movie. But you know me, guys. I like to talk movies and music and pop culture at times. And the CMA Awards were really fun. Even if you don't, it's on Hulu. Even if you're not into country music, I think you could appreciate that. Hockey's in season. College hoops has started. I've been kind of trying to get into it. We got a big Formula One race, I think, tomorrow in Las Vegas, maybe. So we'll probably cover that next week after it's happened. We discussed our covering and opinions, granted, of the artificial intelligence boom and how that relates to where I think also it's so much I wouldn't be covering quite as often probably if we weren't the epicenter for
our backyard.
This. Yeah, and it's funny. It's in our living room. essentially.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and Sammy's right. It's in our backyard, but if you,
And it may not be immediately right now, but when we start getting brownouts because of it, we're definitely going to see it in our living rooms and our bedrooms and everywhere else we need power.
that's right. And you know, and that's why I appreciate all the viewers of the program.
Or when the smog wind blows in
Yeah,
from
well,
all the gas power turbines they're going to have out there.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the other thing that we're being, and Sam and I covered it last week about the Fernie, the company that's going to essentially have all these nuclear power plants everywhere outside of
Which
Amarillo.
does not smell of corruption at all.
No, that sounds totally above
it's
board.
all above board, you know, former governor, former congressman's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all above board.
all good, no corruption there. So this matters to us regionally, and it matters to all of you. There's these data centers coming up in Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, Smoky Mountains. It's happening everywhere, and you know, I hope, along with the rest of you, that it ends up being, you know, a great new world that we live in. Or maybe it will be, but I think it's, as I have this platform, that we cover this. And because a lot of people, I'm not saying that a lot of people's heads are in the sand about it. I just think there's a lot of people that aren't current because something new happens almost every week, sometimes every day, regarding the money, regarding the investments, and the you know, like I always say, that when I read about upcoming layoffs and these kinds of things, I'm just, hopefully I can be here to kind of let you guys in on what I read about, because I know not everybody's interested in this stuff yet, but you all will be pretty soon. Anyways, I thank you again, Sammy, my technical producer extraordinaire. Thanks, D. Grant, for hooking me up with this sweet Bears jersey. And good luck to the Bears this weekend against the Steelers. Tonight we got a little Texans can't remember action, so it must not be that good. Raiders suck. I'm sorry. The Aggies, however, are doing great, and let's get another win this weekend. And watch that Daniel Day-Lewis movie. It's worth it. Anyways, thank you, Sammy. Here we've come to you live from the Majestic Coffee Shop at the Neon Parrot Live Studios. Come get you a coffee, get you a nice treat. We got food, we got coffee, we got beverages of all kind, tea, all kinds of great stuff. Allegedly, they're serving Onyx coffee in there, the best in the land. But anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and watch lots of sports and spend some time with your family, listen to some good music, watch a good movie. Thanks again for joining us here at The Breakdown. Have a great day.